So just the main thing with meditation is close your eyes and sit with a straight back. Meditation is really like one of the main practices of Buddhism. It's how we digest the teachings. First we hear the teachings, then we reflect on them, and then we realize them. And it's only really in the time of meditation that we take the time to really digest them, to put them into our being, and let them, penetrate our awareness, our understanding. They fully become part of us. There are many kinds of meditation, but just to begin with, it's always wonderful to come back to the breath. Because your breath is something you have with you your entire life. It can always be a refuge in difficult times, coming back to your true home, to that place of peace. So just observe your breath coming in and out of your nose. Let go of the tension of the day. How is your breath? Is it deep or shallow, fast or slow? Not letting the mind just go off on its own crazy tangent. Returning again and again to this present moment. Because happiness and peace can only be found in the present. The past is gone. The future is a dream. Now is in the knowing. Just gently bringing the mind back to the breath. When it wanders away, just bringing it back, not taking any tension, just gently and firmly, repeatedly bringing it back and remaining focused, clear, and yet relaxed. So just imagining a beautiful feeling of unconditional love flowing through you, a sense of kindness towards yourself, a sense of, acceptance, wishing yourself well, even if you're not perfect. And like you could imagine a beautiful golden light filling your body, as if the sun is in your heart. And allow this feeling of wishing yourself well, of well-being, of loving kindness to flow through your body. And just say silently in your mind, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful and at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful and at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful and at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. Just allow that feeling of warmth, of unconditional acceptance and kindness, loving kindness, to fill your body and mind, and repeat those verses a few times. It's okay if you don't feel it at first. Just kind of fake it till you make it. Just invite the possibility that you are okay just as you are, that you are likable, that you do have the potential to become the person you'd like to be. May I be well. May I be happy. Repeating these phrases. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful and at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. And now, thinking of someone who's close to you, whether they're alive or dead, imagine them sitting in front of you as you remember them best, looking at you with loving eyes. Maybe it's your child, your children, your mother, your father, your grandmother, preferably not a romantic partner, because those relationships are a little more complex. Maybe even your childhood pet. Just think of them, think of how much joy, how much kindness they've shown you, how they made your life better, how they probably would have died for your welfare. But they also suffer, they suffer birth, old age, sickness, death, confusion. So send them the blessings of your life, share with them a sense of gratitude, share with them your love, and wish them to be happy and to be free of suffering. Imagine that beautiful golden light flowing from you into them, and have your mind suffused with loving kindness. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. Just saying that and sending the metta to that person. you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. And sending that energy out to all beings. Because everybody is just like you. They don't want to suffer and they want to be happy. Just as you have sometimes felt your heart breaking, that you just can't take anymore. Others feel the same. Others feel pain just as you feel pain. Feel depression and anxiety and frustration and stress and joy and love and hope, just the same as you. And they are many and you are only one. And life is better when we share our blessings. So share with all the world. May you all be well. Feel that energy of loving kindness flowing through you to the world, to all beings who are just like you. May all beings be well. May they be happy. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May all beings be well. May they be happy. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be filled with loving kindness and compassion. Sabbe Sada Sukhi Huntu. Sabbe Sada Sukhi Huntu. Sabbe Sada Sukhi. So we have this idea of what meditation is, and then there's the reality of meditation. A bit like life. We have the idea of life and the reality of life. The idea of relationships and the reality of relationships. The idea of having children and the reality of having children. So don't worry if you have been meditating a while and your mind is still going all over the place. Because our life is frantic and fast-paced. So it takes a while to land. And that's why you need a practice of meditation every day. You need to return home every day to your true home. Otherwise, the mildew starts coming in your mind. You know, the neighbours throw their trash in your front yard. The dog starts digging up the paving in your mind. You need to come home to this home of your heart regularly. As Goenka would say, patiently and persistently. Yeah. So tonight's talk is a very good subject. It's called No Mud, No Lotus. So when I first started being a Buddhist, I was pretty desperate. My father died when I was 14, and it made my world fall apart. It made me question the meaning of life, and it really made me see death, that death can come at any time. And it freaked me out, you know, because I'd been living in a very small world. and suddenly it was like the doll's house, you know, you take off the roof and the walls fall down. And you're just open, alone in this uncertain space with no ground under your feet. Everything you thought you were, you aren't. You know, those are just labels. Who are you really? What was your face before you were born? You know, this is a Zen question, but that's a whole nother Dharma talk. And that made me, my father's death pushed me into a kind of suicidal depression. And I just felt, what is the meaning of life? Like, I felt that was the most important thing, the burning issue. But of course no one around me was asking that question. You know, if you said to them, what do you think the meaning of life is, they'd think you're a bit weird. And I just thought, how can I overcome this terrible suffering, this terrible pain in my heart, this loss, and this kind of frustration, you know, and uncertainty and pain? How can I, what can I do, you know? And no one around me had any answers. They all seemed very interested in remaining numb through various means, you know. But being numb is not the way to live your life. You know what the Greek philosophers said, what is it? An unexamined life is not worth living. You know, self-examination is important. Questioning is important. It may make your life a little messy, a little harder, but, you know, to live without ever questioning anything, I don't think it's a juicy life, you know. And so I left school. I moved to near Bankstown when I was about 12, and I went to a good Catholic girls' school, all girls, over in Strathfield, and we had hats and gloves and all kinds of nonsense. And I left there at 15, and then I became a hippie, and then at 17 I went to India, and I found Buddhism there, and it was good. It was like falling in love, you know. But the Dharma is a partner who is very stable and not as erratic as some of the romantic partners I had. So the Dharma doesn't cheat on you. The Dharma doesn't say, I want a divorce, and you start arguing about the dog and who gets the house and the car. So I found the Dharma, and I was very much in love, and it was all making sense. You know, what made sense most of all was this idea that you have thoughts, you are not your thoughts. You have suffering, you are not suffering. The idea that you know, you can choose your thoughts, you can choose your, you know, what comes through your mind. It's a bit like a man at the door, you know, in those posh hotels there's a guy who opens the door and the guest walks through, yeah? And that's the way it's meant to be. But some guests stick around arguing with the doorman, being stubborn and annoying. Those are thoughts, yeah? Sometimes we really need to let our thoughts come in and go. They're not meant to get stuck there. You know, we're not meant to just have our homeless, abandoned thoughts camping out on the front veranda of our mind. We have to learn to let them pass through. You know, the thing is, thoughts are not a problem. Thoughts are to the mind like waves are to the ocean. They arise, they abide, they dissolve. Emotions too. Nothing wrong with emotions. The idea of being a Buddhist is not that you become some kind of crash dummy who has no emotions and no feelings and no thoughts. Like, you know, you don't see people walking out of 3-year retreats looking like crash dummies, you know. If anything, they're much more alive, much more human, much more vibrant. They can laugh because they're not a victim of their thoughts. They have control. It's not like you're going to be having super control, but you're having some, if you imagine like the mind is like a fine horse, you take the rope of mindfulness and you tie the wild horse mind to the post of virtue. And the post of virtue is the teaching of the Buddha. So meditation is training the mind, bringing the mind home, bringing the mind to rest on an object. And when you rest the mind on an object, the mind gets a rest. You know, it's really tiring having so many thoughts every day, thousands of thoughts, most of them completely useless. Like maybe we become aware there's a record playing in our mind. I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly. I'm unemployed, I'm unemployed, I'm unemployed. She doesn't love me anymore, she doesn't love me anymore, she doesn't love me anymore. Whatever it is, you know. I'm a failure as a mother, I'm a failure as a mother, I'm a failure as a mother. It's going round and round and round. What we do in meditation is, it's like the spindle on the record player. We take it off. The record's still spinning, but there's no noise. And we get a little, like, you know, meditation is like a flower blossoming because we get some space, some perspective. I can feel like crap, but, excuse my language, but it's okay because it's just another cloud passing in the sky. I have some perspective. I have a little space between my feeling, my thoughts, my opinions, and my awareness. My awareness becomes more panoramic, more broad-hearted, more inclusive, more kind, more patient, more tolerant, more able to cope with my craziness. We're all a little bit crazy. It's just a matter of degrees, you know. But learning to manage this crazy mind, this wild horse mind, because this wild horse is very magnificent and dangerous. It can kick you in the face and break your skull. Or it can be a magnificent animal that will help you travel the world. It can be your ally or your enemy. And sometimes the more intelligent the people, the more they misuse the mind. They overthink everything, making themselves unnecessarily unhappy. You know, they're a perfectionist, they're trying to, oh my God, have I done this, have I done that, have I done this, you know? Super, it's not good enough, it's not perfect enough, you know? A-type, we call them. Yeah? So it's not a recipe for happiness. And our education system doesn't necessarily help because we're given a whole bunch of information, some of it useful, some of it not. I mean, how many people have used algebra since they left school? You know? Medieval history? Shakespeare. I mean, it's great to have an education, you know, but it's really useful to know what is useful and what is not useful. What you need for happiness is very simple, actually. You know, and you need to sweep away the dust. We think we need, because we live in a capitalist society, right? So the way the capitalist society functions is to make you feel that you're not good enough, and that unless you buy these things, you won't be happy. And there's all these boxes you have to tick, you know, like find the right partner, tick. Find the right job, tick. Get the house, get the ideal house, tick. Have some kids, tick. Or not have kids, have nice furniture, tick. You know? And if we don't tick those boxes, we might feel that there's something wrong with us. Or we may be ticking the boxes. We may have all of those boxes ticked, but we're not happy. We're realizing, oh my God, well, something's wrong with me because I didn't tick the boxes. I'm drawing outside the lines. I tend to go off on tangents. But the point is meditation, training the mind to be your ally, and understanding that there is no roadmap, that you make the map. And the point is not to just please other people because it's your life, you know, and you have to find what is meaningful to you. You have to find your own truth. But, you know, for the mind to be happy, we need to train it. We need to understand thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts are not the end of the world. You know, like some people are ready to die for an idea. I mean, the ideas, this is why young people always start revolutions. Because young people don't have the perspective. This is me getting old, saying young people. Younger people don't have the perspective. Don't have this perspective to know that whatever they feel passionate about in their early 20s, like hardcore rock or, I don't know, being a hippie, they may not feel passionate about in their 40s, you know. The people we date in our early 20s, we might not date in our 40s or 50s, you know. So ideas are just that, they pass, they're conditioned. You know, and when you know this is conditioned, you have, you're more relaxed because you know this too shall pass. you might have to relate to the world on a day-to-day basis, and things are kind of real out there in the world. There are consequences for your actions, but you know this is just one day, and this too shall pass. Everything changes. Everything is like a play, you know. There's different scenes and different costumes and different people, and the drama is going on, but it's always changing. It's not as solid or permanent. It's never too late to begin again. You know, so we worry a lot. We worry about all these things that may never happen, and we've got this kind of script in our hand that we think this is how life is supposed to go. You know, especially if you watch TV. You know, TV will tell you all kinds of things about what you need, and